The heart of every man craves a great adventure, but life doesn't usually feel that way. Jesus speaks of narrow gates and wide roads, but the masculine journey is filled with many twists and turns. So how do we keep from losing heart while trying to find the good way when life feels more like a losing battle than something worth dying for? Grab your gear and come on a quest with your band of brothers who will serve as the guides in what we call the masculine journey. The masculine journey starts here now.
Have fun on the masculine journey. Today we are going to be talking about locking shields. And we got a boot camp that's right around the corner where we will be locking shields, April 6th through the 9th. So at this point in time, it's just a couple of weeks away, right, Sam?
It is. It's coming up quick. It's still time to register. There's still a few slots open. So go to masculinejourneyradio.org to register today.
So my heart as we were getting ready for this show, Sam, was just this, wow. If I would have known what that even meant to lock shields, 10 years ago before I went to a boot camp, I would have been lining up to register to figure out what in the world that meant, that I could hand a band of brothers, that I would actually be able to lock shields with people, what that actually meant and those kind of things. I just can't believe I missed out on it all these years and I had to wait until I was in my 60s. But one of the exciting things is that we have some guys that are signed up that are coming from Teen Challenge that are, early teens. We got guys from all over the place that are going to be with us this time.
Yeah, it's going to be a very good dynamic of what God has in store. I'm just really looking forward to what he's up to, because I know it's something really cool.
Well, when we talk about the shield, we're from a spiritual standpoint, or in the masculine journey, we would think about Ephesians 6. And a whole lot of what we talk about boot camp has to do with spiritual warfare. So in this spiritual warfare, interestingly, we have this armor that we find out about in Ephesians 6. Actually, it's in Isaiah and a lot of places. But one of the things that Paul tells us to take up above all is take up above all the shield of faith. And you know what I found out today from Jim Baricki, my good friend right here, that Captain America's shield was made out of unobtainium. What in the world? And when I think, about trying to get my faith together where I can really trust God, where I'd have that unbelievable shield, it's kind of unobtainium.
Yes.
And the guy that he fought was, from what I understand, Captain America had a red-faced character looked kind of like Satan.
That sounds like it's Santa.
Right, Sam?
You look just like me. Exactly. Yeah.
So anyway, we've got a little clip here talking about, what happens when you actually have a shield of unobtainium, and it kind of, defeats the enemy. And so here we go with little Captain America. Maybe you can set this clip a little bit up. What's going on here, Sam?
Well, you have this battle that's been going on, and not too long before that, Captain America had gotten the shield and is learning how to use it, and he learns pretty quickly on the battlefield, really. I mean, he does most of the learning there, but in the process, he's really thwarting the enemy's plans of what he's trying to do.
Wow, well, let's take a listen to Captain America.
I beg you, bold king, to permit me.
That was actually
Not Captain America.
Captain America. That was a bold king. We'll get to him in a minute. Here's Captain America.
You are failing! We are close to an offensive that will shake the planet. If we are continually delayed because you cannot outwit a simpleton with a shield.
This is hardly my area of expertise. I merely developed the weapons. I cannot fire them.
Finish your mission, Doctor, before the American finishes his.
So, tell us about that scene, Jim.
Well, I believe the gentleman's name was Red Skull.
Red Skull.
Red Skull.
That's a perfect name for a bad guy.
Captain America was pretty much tearing apart Red Skull's little facility. But when I listen to that, it reminds me that the enemy is always trying to build weapons against us. And that he's always trying to attack. And it's only through our shield of faith, our faith in God, that we can ward off those attacks. That we know that, everything works together for good for those who love God or are called according to His purpose. And so you look at that scene, and Red Skull's getting frustrated because his guy who's building his weapons, his Q, if you will, for those James Bond type people, he's trying to build these weapons, and Red Skull's watching Captain America tear his whole place apart. And I think that's the way the enemy sees us sometimes. We're just a simpleton with a shield. How can we do anything? We're a simpleton with a shield. But with God on our side, we can be that simpleton. And the more weak we are, the stronger God is.
Right. And
some of us are simpler than others.
Speaking of simple, this whole idea of shields apparently has come down through the centuries. And if you begin to look around in your world today, you'll see shields everywhere. Firestone has a shield. The interstates have a shield. Everywhere you look, there's a shield. So this must be significant about something. But in the ancient times, William Gurnall wrote in the Christian in Full Armor that the Greeks held such high esteem about the shield that the mother would send their son off to war saying, either you come home with this shield or on it. And, man, that's a little hard to understand. But then think about the shields of the knights of old. When you see all the different colorful shields that had their heraldry on it, it told a story. It was their family honor, not just their own personal honor, their country's honor. But, the McDougalls, or in the case of Jim, the Graham, the Graham shield has what on it, Jim?
Well, it has we'll start at the top. The one I have on my wall that was knit by my grandmother has the stork being killed by a hawk. And actually in this, the Graham clan was the stork.
Wow.
And was being attacked by another clan, if I remember correctly. It also has shells, the scallop shells, which are related to Christianity, but they are adorned, a lot of them, and we have 2 fields of 3. But it has always been to me something that identified me with my family in a very strong way. And having my grandmother's knitting did that too. And my good friend Robbie was attacking my clan.
He's a hawk.
And I was ready to pick up my shield.
What I couldn't help but notice that these flowers looked kind of like snowballs. And so when I said, you got snowballs, and Jim Baricki, not Robbie, Jim Baricki said, it looks to me like you don't have a snowball's chance in shells. That's what. Yes. That's where.
Which was clever.
But nonetheless, you get the picture that this is really something quite important, and it was so important that the Romans, realizing that they had to defeat the Greeks, figured out a way to get people to drop their shields so they could not play Captain America. And the way they would do that is they would shoot fiery darts, and that fiery dart actually, I'm told, the Romans had like a 30-pound javelin that was on fire, and they tossed this thing at the Greek shields. And so if you can imagine, you're holding a shield, it was usually made out of wood in the case of the Greek shields, and this 30-pound javelin is stuck in it, and it's on fire. There's a good possibility that you're going to drop your shield, which is going to put you in real harm's way. But now think about what Satan, and again, we're talking about putting on the full armor and how we need to put on the belt of truth. But Satan keeps lofting over these darts, saying God's not going to come through for you this time.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, you can't trust that guy over there with a shield with the snowballs on it. I mean, what are you thinking? And so he's lobbing these fiery darts in an effort to get you to drop that shield. And this is a significant thing, Sam, that we get caught making these agreements. The shield comes down, and it just might hurt us, but others.
Oh, yeah. You can see it very clearly, I think, sometimes. Well, I say clearly after a time, a season of walking in, the understanding of spiritual warfare, and it getting deeper, and God letting us see deeper into it. For some people come to a boot camp they may never really heard of spiritual warfare, and so they'll get introduced to that as well. But this concept of, in a family, for example, if I let down my shield, it's not just me that gets hurt, but my kids and my friends and the people around me. And because each one of us are intertwined relationally, and it connects to one another.
But by the same token, when you pick it up, right, and you say, God's got this. We're going to, what is the name of that metal?
Unobtainium.
Unobtainium.
And I think we'll get lots of notes of that I'm wrong on that, I'm sure.
I love unobtainium. But when you look at it from that standpoint, Jim, is there anything that really God can't handle?
There's nothing he can't handle. And the faith holds together the entire set of armor. If you don't have the shield, the rest of it really doesn't do you any good. But in looking at the locking shields concept, the phalanx worked, and it was the most effective form of combat of its day because these guys were locked together in combat and relying on each other. Also, and everybody has seen this, where you have arrows being fired at them. They don't have to be the 30-pound Roman ones, which worked, but when you are being shot at, everybody gets under their shields and interlocks them, and you have a pretty impervious barrier to the arrows that are coming in from above, which is usually how they're lobbed at you, which is harder to defend against.
But in order to lock shields, right, there's a challenge there with men that, number one, they like to do things as individuals.
Oh, yeah.
Rambo.
Yes. You know, and then that poser comes out, I can do this. You know, I want to be the superhero, you know. But without that faith, they can't operate alone. And we all need others around us to fight the enemy.
Right. When we come back, we've got a clip from the 300 where we get a picture of this poor character who can't raise his shield, and thus he's not fit for battle. So what is that going to look like? How can we apply this to our lives? How can we get equipped for battle? That's what we're finding out today. Our boot camp's coming up April 6th through the 9th. You can go to masculinejourneyradio.org and register now. When we come back, so much more on the Shield of Faith. We're going to be locking shield.
Hi, this is Sam with Masculine Journey. I'm here with my son Eli. We're going to talk about ways that you can help support the ministry. One way, you can go to smile.amazon.com. There's information on our website there on how to do that.
Then you can go to facebook.com where you can click the donate button, or you can go to masculinejourneyradio.org. Once again, look for the donate button.
Or if you want to mail something in, mail it to P.O. Box 550, Kernersville, North Carolina, 27285.
On the baseball field, a single decision can change a game. For a man with prostate cancer, a single decision can change his entire life. This is Joe Torre. While I chose surgery, a less aggressive approach called active surveillance might be the best choice for you. Ask your doctor about a genomic test that may help you make the right decision. Learn more at yourprostateyourdecision.com.
A public service message from Men's Health Network, FEN, and Zero.
Insinuate you wanna move it, it wants to stay. You need the power that comes from F-A-I-T-A.
Yeah, there's some power there when you have the faith. Of course, God can come through in this particular situation, and as promised, in this movie, The 300, and Sam, you've seen the movie, there's this character that he wants to be in the army, but he has one giant fault. And again, when you listen to the clip, the man's sort of a Quasimodo character. He can't lift his shield, right, Sam?
Yeah, would have normally been rejected by the Spartan society, and his father and mother took him away from it so that he could be, raised and be safe. And he comes back to the king wanting to join in the fight. And this is where we kind of pick that up, because in what they would look at him, he may or may not be able to do it, but he says, I have something here to offer.
So here we go.
I beg you, bold king, to permit me to redeem by serving you in combat. My father trained me to feel no fear, to make spear and shield and sword as much a part of me as my own beating heart.
Spartan, raise your shield.
Sire.
Raise your shield as high as you can. Your father should have taught you how a phalanx works. We fight as a single, impenetrable unit. That is the source of our strength. Each Spartan protects the man to his left, thigh to neck, with a shield. A single weak spot, and the phalanx shatters.
A single weak spot. The weakest link, so to speak. And the phalanx shatters. And so how important is it when you're in a band of brothers, Sam, that we take off our masks and let people know what it is that we're actually struggling with?
Absolutely. That's the only way that it really works effectively, is just to be able to be honest with one another. You know, talk about where the enemy is attacking you, talk about where you're feeling susceptible, feeling like you're going to let that shield down, either, you know, stepping into sin or believing the lies. Something he's trying to do all the time is to pull that shield down on you, knowing not only can he take you out, but those around you.
And the cool part about it, that is an offensive weapon. Think about it, Jim, when they all are working together as a force of faith, you can imagine how God loves to come alongside of that.
Oh, absolutely. You know, God says where two or more are gathered in my name, I am there.
Yeah. And so in the next little clip we want to play, which is right along the same lines of Lock Your Shields, is from the movie Gladiator. And here you have a situation that looks absolutely hopeless if you know what's going on, is that you have these men that would look hopelessly outgunned. In other words, all they have is shields and a sword, and the people against them are armed with crossbows and horses and horrible-looking weapons that run on their chariots, and those chariots have, you know, things that spin and tear stuff up, and I mean, it looks just hopeless. But interestingly, they had something called Maximus who understood warfare. And at the beginning of the clip, he explains to the men, if we have any chance of making this, if we got any chance of living, we have to work together. But as you can't hear from the clip, but you can see it if you watch it, there are a few guys that think, oh, I can do it on my own. There's a few Herculeses out there. It doesn't play too well for him, Sam, because when that chariot comes through with a spinning thing, it's real ugly. But as we hear what happens when these guys lock shields, it's all of a sudden something that looks totally impossible through their faith in their shields.
Anyone here been in the army? Yes. I served with you in Nevada. You can help me. Whatever comes out of these gates, we've got a better chance of survival if we work together. Do you understand? If we stay together, we survive.
Pleased to bring you the Legionnaires of Scipio Africana!
So as you hear Maximus yelling, hold there, hold, and you hear the music change as actually this unbelievable small group of men with shields takes on this larger force, you can't help but note that there's some faith involved in the whole situation in their shielding.
They have to trust. Oh, sorry, Sam. Go ahead.
Well, if you've seen the movie, one of the things that you notice is it's these men back to back, and the shields are interlocked all the way around, so there's no place that it can be penetrated. There is no backside to attack, which I think is pretty cool, that when you're doing it on your own, you can't defend your back. But when you have a group, you can surround each other and help fight that battle.
And I know, Jim, you were like me prior to understanding, the masculine journey, so to speak, this walking in the boot camp experience, that kind of thing. The Band of Brothers idea, it becomes real, something that you can actually lock shields with somebody.
It is such a strong bond when you can be honest. And I have two very good friends in the room and one remotely that I would trust with my very life. And I have some others, and those are my band of brothers. And those are the guys I rely on to lift me up when I'm down. We watch over each other when we're wounded. I've been praying for my buddy Jim here all week as he's been in a major battle this week.
But part of what I would say the heraldry of the shields is when I look around this room, and I know, some of the stuff that Sam has come through. I know the stuff that's on his shield, the stuff that he's seen God come through him. When I'm sitting here with Jim Baricki, I know how God has come through for you just recently with your own wife's illness. And it seemed this time last year was a pretty scary time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this time last year, I didn't know what was going to happen next. But you get to the point where you have to turn and rely on God. And, it was my friends, my band of brothers that, were praying for me, kept me lifted up, helped me through those tough times. They were there. And I think what you don't realize is many of those shields that are at the boot camp are battle hardened, and that there's chances are there's nobody there who does not understand what you're going through or what you've been through. I mean, there's definitely somebody there that you can relate to and say, oh yeah, I've gone through that, and this is how you survive. It goes back to one of the clips we often play at the boot camp. It says, if you want to live, get off the beach. And I think, as we see that, as a band of brothers.
Yeah, that's from the movie Saving Private Ryan. And, these guys are, if they're going to live, they've got to get off the beach, right, Sam?
Yeah. Yeah, you have to realize that the war is going to happen around you either way. And you can do it either totally unprotected without your shield. You can try to do it alone with your shield, or you can let God lead you to some people to stand alongside you and protect the group.
And not just protect, but I love the way that it says it in the Gospels that the kingdom of God is forcefully advancing, and forceful men take hold of it. And when you think about the Romans used that tortoise technique, which is what Maximus was using, that when they would go under someplace that was under siege, and these people would be pouring hot oil and who knows what all coming off the walls down on these, but they could they could lock their shields in such a way that would totally come up against people that were on a wall that were willing to do anything to them, Sam. I mean, you are Jim, one of the two Jims.
You have a pretty good shot.
Yeah.
2 or 3 chance,
One of the things that really is impressed on my heart is, and looking back at the Maximus clip or the Maximus battle, there is a superior strategist that's bringing the men together to do it. They would have all died if Maximus wasn't there. Now, we've got a better than Maximus in God that is giving us the marching orders, telling us how to defend ourselves if we are listening to him. If we're not, we're one of those guys that runs out and gets cut down by the chariot and doesn't have a prayer. But when we band together and we are all following our leader, God, there's no battle we can't win.
And one of the major ones that really, Sam, I know you like me are just so thrilled to do is we've got guys coming from the Rescue Mission, we got guys coming from Teen Challenge, is to enter in with young men that, wow, if they get this, if I'd have gotten this when I was 25, wow, what would it be? I mean, and even your own son, Sam, I mean, what does that mean?
Well, just to have, first of all, Caleb went through it with me, and now he's in college, and we can have conversations, and he can see the warfare that's coming at him, coming at friends, knows what's really going on at a much different level than I could have even fathomed at his age, I don't think. And now to see Eli going through that with me as well, it's just priceless. Just to see that they're going to come in to adulthood with a very, very deep understanding of warfare, and that the Father's there to help them and to guide them.
Wow, I just cannot, I can't even really put a value on it in my mind of what it would mean for you listening right this minute to go to masculinejourneyradio.org and join our band. Because guess what? You've got a shield that's battle-hardened that we need your help and you need ours, but we can't do it if we don't lock shields. And the only way we can do that is to get together. So go to masculinejourney.org, masculinejourneyradio.org, and sign up. It's only $169, and I assure you, we are going to have a blast, aren't we? We're going to play...
Absolutely.
Airsoft. You can shoot Sam. How much fun will that be?
Maybe not as much as shooting Robbie.